Hey guys, good morning. This is Nelly. Yes, I just woke up. Yes, I'm wearing pajamas. Yes, I couldn't sleep. And the reason why I'm making this video and I really want to share this video with you guys, it's because I had a hard time sleeping today and my head was thinking about so many things and mostly thinking about our conversations about this year, about 2020, about the pandemic, about how much suffering is there in the world, how many people are going through real hard times, including me. And I'm still privileged enough to have this peace inside of me and outside of me, my space. Some people are going through a very much harder time, not even seeing options on not going to work. Um, so yeah, I agree. This year has been challenging. This year has been there's been a lot of suffer. There are many things being brought up emotionally for us, in relationships for people, inside of their homes, financially. When you look at our bank account, like I also haven't worked the whole year. Like yeah, I understand. Like we are being unemployed, and I understand to a certain level. Um, there are people feeling things that I am not feeling at all. And I'm not even talking only about COVID from a disease point of view. I'm talking in a global perspective. And what I want to talk to you guys about today is relates to this, but it's not only about this. It's about the power of our words, the power of our intention. We have a heart. We are a machine of energy, and we can choose to pulse this energy towards progress, help, grace, faith, power, surrender, serenity, peace, empowerment. We can choose to use our hearts and our words to express this in the world, or we can choose to let our hearts succumb to the suffering. And more than that, we can choose to use our words to spread dust. So I just want you guys to imagine this. Imagine that when you speak, you have the possibility of creating dust in the air, like just making things even more foggy for you and for others. Just imagine that. Like whenever I speak, not only it's not only about the water particles, it's also about the dust that I create when my words are foggy, when my heart is conflicted, when I'm in pain, when I see no choice, when I feel like disgrace and despair is the only way. So I get things foggy in front of me and for others too, because I put this out there in the air. um, but also imagine that when you have a heart that is pulsing empowerment in any level, or healing, or caring, or learning, or holding space, you have the power with this heart, as if it is a vacuum cleaner, and you can clean this. And this also comes through our mouth. We can make this air a little bit less foggy. You can make this air a little bit more purified. You can allow the sunlight that is coming over us every single day, even if there are clouds on top of us, even if it's raining, even if we have so much fume in the air because of cities. The sunlight, the sun is still there. We're just not seeing it because the day is cloudy. When the day is cloudy, it doesn't mean that the sun has left the orbit and has gone somewhere else. We're just not seeing it, but you know that it's still there and it's still shining on us. And the reason why I'm saying this, it's because, guys, I haven't slept and I really want to share something with you guys. I really want to share a very simple tool that I believe can help all of us to make our lives a little bit better. Because you know what? There is enough happening out there that is out of our control. Like life is giving us, people are giving us, politicians are giving us, relationships are giving us situations that we cannot control as a human being. We can work in these situations and with these people, with these institutions, be it a health institution, be it a political institution, be it a financial institution, be it whatever it is. We can work with these others to try to make things a little bit better for all of us. But we cannot control these things that are out of us. So what is in my power to be done? Every day when I wake up, I ask myself, what is in my power? What me as a person, as a being, as an institution in myself, as a collective, as a collection of thoughts, as a collection of emotions, what can I do today to help me and others remember that the sun is still out there? Um, I haven't slept, guys. I'm really in a flow here of thoughts. And the reason why I want to help you guys, or just share, not help, but share with you guys about this little tool, this communication tool, is just so we can make each other's lives a little bit better. And these started because when uh, this week I've been having a lot of conversations with people, and what I've realized is that apart from recognizing the challenge that this year has been and make it even worse by creating more and more strategy with our words on top of it and with our projections on top of it about 2020, we are already starting to project, make fun, and create a 2021 that is even worse than 2020. So for some reason, most of all the conversations that I've been in during this week, people are already like 2020 can even be worse. Like, man, we might never get out of 2020. Like 2021, there's going to be even more despair because people don't even know how to relate again. Blah, 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 blah. And all this dust, all this what if, all this projection that we keep on putting out there for people, even though it can be a possibility of reality, it's just dust that just make everyone's life even more foggy. So one thing is when we are being realistic and looking at data, but looking at data and being realistic doesn't mean acting, living, feeling, and spreading fear-based mentality, fear-based emotions, because this doesn't help people to feel stronger, to fight they already have to fight. We already have real conditions to fight. So why am I gonna make it worse for others and for myself? So yeah, people already need to deal with financial hardships and relationship hardships and all kinds of emotional and trauma and physical hardships. So why am I gonna make worse? That's my question. If I can use my head to project a future that is even worse than this one, I can use my head, my mouth, the power of my heart, the power of my belief, the power of my faith to also project a world that is better than this. And I can do this by being realistic too. There are no only extremes where what I project is just projection and it's just not realistic. No, no, no. I can still be realistic. I can still take precaution. I can still consider the reality of what's happening in the world and be positive and help you to believe that it could be so much better. And how do we do this? By adding one thing to our communication. Um, I'm not telling us not to tell our stories at this point. I'm not telling us to run away from our shadows and pretend we don't have problems. This is not my intention. My intention is when I tell about a problem, when I share a pain, when I feel like I've emptied out my heart and I've been heard, or it's good if I add in my own communication the lesson. If I add a sentence, an intention that says, this year has been so hard financially for me. I haven't worked, and you know what I've learned from this? I've learned that saving money is such an interesting thing. I think I'm gonna start taking action and studying more about the YouTube. You know what I've gotten from 2020? That relationships are so subtle, that demonstrating love and being with people is so important that I'm making this a priority in my life right now. Do you know what I've noticed? I've noticed that most of the things that I've cultivated until now were actually not connected and aligned with the person that I am. And I want to cultivate more actions, and I actually want to look for a job where I'm more accomplished. I noticed that the relationship that I was in, it's not truly myself. It's not truly what I want to create for myself. You know what is the lesson? You know what I've gained. You know what I can create. So even when we tell our stories, we can um, teach ourselves to end the story with an open space for positive creation. And when we do this, we use our hearts and our mouth to just make the possibility less foggy. Because when I come to you, imagine you're having a very hard day, very hard life. And I come to you and say, you know, it can get worse. And you know, the vaccine, and you know, the conspiracy, and you know, who is gonna survive? And you know, I don't even know if it's worth it. You know, why living? Am I making you feel any better? Am I giving you any chance of feeling like, yeah, I'm gonna fight for it. I'm gonna fight for a living. I'm gonna fight for the causes that I believe in. I'm gonna hold space. No, I'm just creating more emotional pain because I'm just reinforcing the pain that is inside of you. So, can I be with you and say, wow, it's been challenging? Ooh, you know, there are people struggling and I cry for this and I feel like my gosh, there's so much despair, there's so much real pain, there's so much racial injustice stuff going on at the same time, you know. What can we do about it? Like, how can I help? Like, let's do something about it. Like, what do you think we're learning from this? Like, what are we getting from this? What is the lesson? Wow, what can I do about it? Maybe I can just breathe right now. What if I just breathe right now and I use my heart to search for a solution? I acknowledge what is. There's been pain and there are things that I cannot control. But what if I choose to live? What if I choose to see that while there's pain, there's gratitude too? There's pain and there are people helping others in so many beautiful ways. There is pain and there are scientists and people they are really engaged in science and logically oriented, looking for reasoning solutions, you know, like looking for vaccine, looking for whatever it is, looking for theories. There are people working night and day to create systems that make people's life easier. Wow. At the same time that this is happening, there are people donating. There are more donations going on, or there are more intention to donate, or there's more intention to help. Ooh. There are more people freeing themselves from the cage they've been living on because they're actually getting closer to understanding that the life that they've been living, it's not their purpose, it's not their real life, it's not what they actually were looking for. They were trapped in the matrix. And COVID brought loss and brought pain. But pain and loss was brought before too, in many different ways with other names, you know. And some people at that point too were fighting to survive. And wow, there are so many healers and coaches. There are so many people putting more content out there. Have you noticed that on YouTube there are more people doing free workouts and more how can I say cheaper and discounted stuff? Wow, there are people bending to help others. There are people just going out there and spending more time. There are more people calling each other. I've noticed that on Facebook this year, more people reached out to each other during birthdays. And I saw so many posts about people saying, wow, this birthday I didn't have a way to celebrate socially, but I felt so much more connected to the 2, 3 people that I talked to. This year, I realized most of the friends that I have, I'm not connected to them on a daily basis, but I realized that there are these 2, 3 people that I really cared about and that really cared about me. What I want to say to you guys and what I want to give to you guys in this video is that there are other things happening at the same time. And I've had many friends, and I just lost my father-in-law last year in a terminal disease. I've had and I've known many friends with cancer, with many I'm just gonna say cancer right now, but with many different hard, debilitating diseases. And you know what I've realized, that sometimes, many times, people that are in terminal living situations, they just choose to live so beautifully. I've just got to know about an example of someone that um, he already have lung problems and he's already deteriorating physically, but emotionally and energetically, that person surrounded, he surrounded himself and he decided to live and be with the people that he wanted to. He's still respecting the conditions, he's still taking precaution, but deciding to say, like, if these are my last days on earth, let's consider that life is really gonna explode. Oh my gosh, death is certain. Oh my gosh, death is certain. I was only left with one choice. How do I choose to live? Death is certain. How do I choose to live? And then I go, wait a second. Death has always been certain. How have I been choosing to live? Have I been choosing to live in misery? Have I been choosing to put more dust out there with the things that I say and helping people to live in more misery? Have I been choosing to being realistic, taking the precautions that makes me feel safe and people around me feel safe, whatever it is, and I choose to spread love, compassion. I still stay with people in pain. I don't escape from that. But I don't leave them only like that. I also bring lightness. And I also say, what do you think we can do better in 2021? What has 2020 given to us that we can transform? And my question for you now is like, I doubt that 2020 only gave you reasons to suffer. I'm very sure at this moment that if you look to your life right now, you're gonna find at least one thing that you grew, one area of your life that you learned, that you grew, that you got more empowered, that you got clarity, that you realized something that you don't want. You might have created some boundaries, or at least learned that there are some boundaries that you have to establish. You might have got to know that this is not the career you want to go through, or this is not a relationship you want to cultivate, or this is not how you want to die. Like, if these are the last moments that I have, how can I still be responsible for my actions? How can I still take responsibility for myself and still create healthy relationships? So yes, guys, this year has been challenging, has been complicated in many ways, and I'm privileged. Even though I feel like it's been extremely complicated to me, I feel like it's been a lot more complicated to other people. And the last thing that I really want to do is go into their lives and just make it more foggy and more complicated to them. What I want to do is like, I'm here with you. I acknowledge it's been hard. And my heart is out with you. But my question and the reason why I'm here with you is to say, what can we do? Where can we put our attention? Where can we put our focus? What can we do to make it better? What do you need? What do you want? How can I help you? So if I just end my sentence with action, with intentional action, with intentional positivity, if I end my sentences with lessons, and if I start projecting positive intention in the future, even if I die, because death is certain, however it is, even if the person that I'm dealing with die, they're not going to spend the last minute or the last year or their last decade just listening to more pain. They're going to feel some level of relief, because we all know how good it is to have someone that acknowledge that we have problems, to have someone that listen to our pain and do not make less of it, but to also have someone that lift us. So all I'm saying is, I've been feeling really bad leaving conversations just with despair. I feel really bad every time that I'm talking to people, and all we do is to acknowledge the suffering that we've been living. And I don't want to neglect the suffering, and I want to be able to hold space for people and be with people um, in an empathetic space, you know. And sometimes just silence is needed. Sometimes just Gratitude is enough. And this can be acknowledged too. Even in the end of a very painful conversation, I can still say thank you. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for creating space for me to express myself. Thank you for letting me get off my chest the things that I'm going through. I just feel so much lighter right now because I was able to speak. And this definitely create more space for me to look for solutions. And this also helps me to make my day a little bit less foggy, make the atmosphere a little bit less foggy, so I can see that the sun was always there while I was crying. And the sun was always there even when I was complaining. So that's it, guys. We have very powerful instruments and tools inside of our beings. Um, we have a heart that has huge power of creating and emanating energy. We have a whole being. There's pure energy connecting with everything, getting entangled with everything that's around us. We have a gut that has such a strong intuition about the things that are going wrong and going right, and being aligned and being grounded or not. We have a very powerful mind that allows us to discern what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, what is in my space, what can I do, helps me to plan. And we have a very strong and spiritual being that helps us to know that the only way for us to help others to progress and feel stronger in their reality is when we also acknowledge the gain, the lesson, the positive learnings that we get from existing, you know? Because in the end, we can always do something about it. We can always feel something about it. We can always spread love. So even if you end your words, even if you end, even if you don't have a lesson, let's just say that you're ending a conversation, you're talking to some friends, and you don't have a lesson at this moment because you're in the middle of the pain. You're not really seeing the lesson. You can still acknowledge the blessing that it is to have someone to talk about it, or the blessing that it is to be just by yourself and get this off your chest, because in the end you're never alone. Like, not even when you're by yourself you're never alone, because either you are in this space and this space exists and lives just like you, or because you believe in God or in spirits or in guides or in afterlife, whatever your belief is. Or even if you're atheist, you believe in science and you believe in logic and you believe whatever you believe, there's always something else you're talking to. So, and if you find yourself alone, you know that it's community. Creating community and looking for help is possible if you take a little action, if you look for someone, you know? So empower yourself to be in this place. Empower yourself to leave the conversations in places of healing and not only in place of despair, even when we acknowledge despair. Because one thing I know, if we can acknowledge despair, if we can talk about pain, we can talk about love. If we can talk about pain and misery and the reality that we are living in, we can also project and talk about solution, about caring, about taking action, about changing, about transforming, about transcending. We have the same power inside of us. So all I want to invite you guys to do is to leave the conversations that you are in right now. Whenever you leave a conversation about 2020, about 2021, about December, try to just do one thing. Leave your conversation verbally. Use your heart and your mouth as vacuum cleaners in a space, or as rainbow and love, I don't know, light, you know, and just leave the conversations with a message of gratitude, a lesson, acknowledging the good that is in your life too. I'm sure that if we spread this verbally, life will get easier for others and for ourselves. And we're not going to be doing this by neglecting the pain that is there. We're going to just be enforcing the grace and the power and the faith that we can have and that we know we're capable of just by living. All right, so this is my message. I hope this helps you to feel blessed to have a chance to be seeing this video, and I really hope you use this tool, and by using this tool you're gonna notice how much shift is gonna start happening in your life, in your home, and in yourself. Because every time you are in a conversation when only the bad things are acknowledged, you leave that conversation even more drained. You leave that conversation even more disempowered. You leave that conversation with even less hope. But when you acknowledge verbally, even if the little things that you're being able to see at that moment, you leave the conversation with a different state of mind and a different intention. Okay, so that's it, guys. Have a wonderful day. There's no script for this video. I just couldn't sleep and I came in my pajamas with the face that I am in right now to talk to you guys. So that's it. Have a wonderful day, and I want you to remember that we can do this. We got this together. All right, so be free to reach out to me. See you guys soon.